You did everything right. New browser profile, fresh proxy, VPN on, you run a fingerprint test to make sure that you're clean, and it lights up red anyway. So what actually gave you away? Because here's the part almost nobody explains. It's usually not the one setting you were worried about. It's something much more boring, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now in this one, we'll go over what these checkers actually test, why they exist, and the real reason they flag you. At the end, I'll show you two completely separate browser profiles passing these checkers at the same time on one machine and explain exactly why that works. Welcome back to the Web Insights. Now, if you're into how the web really sees you, subscribe now. It supports the work and also helps the channel. What these checkers are and why they exist. Now, a browser fingerprint is the set of small details your browser hands over to every site you visit. Operating system, screen resolution, time zone, language, installed fonts, graphics card, signature, and a few dozen more. On their own, none of these identify you. Combined, they're usually unique enough to pick you out of millions of people. No cookies required. A fingerprint checker is a website that reads all of that back and grades it. Tools like Pixelscan, IPQualityScore, and CreepJS show you what other sites see and whether anything looks off. Now, the why. Because this matters. These tools didn't appear to make your life difficult. Browser fingerprinting exists mainly for fraud prevention and bot detection. Your bank spotting account takeovers, a marketplace blocking payment fraud, a social platform filtering out bot traffic. These are legitimate uses. Now, the checkers are basically a mirror. They let you see yourself the way an anti-fraud system would. That's it. The same mirror is useful whether you're a privacy nerd hardening your browser or a developer testing a setup. Now, passing a checker isn't about being invisible, it's about looking like a normal, believable human. That's the entire trick. The 5 signals every checker reads. Before the tools, almost every checker reads the same 5 things. 1. Canvas and WebGL. Your browser secretly draws an image using your graphics hardware, and the tiny rendering difference becomes a fingerprint. 2. WebRTC and DNS. Both can leak your real IP behind a VPN. Covered in depth in the last 2 videos, and that's worth checking if you haven't yet. 3. IP versus time zone versus system language. Do they agree or contradict each other? 4. Fonts and plugins. One Mac font showing up on a Windows machine is enough to stand out. 5. User agent versus actual operating system. Does the story match the evidence? That right there is the whole game. Everything else, mouse movement, CPU and RAM data, local storage, is a minor variation of those 5. The fingerprint checkers market in one place. Now there are a lot of these tools. Instead of drowning you in them, here's every one worth knowing sorted into 3 types. Type 1, verdict checkers. Straight pass or fail on your whole profile. Pixelscan.net, IPQualityScore, and BrowserScan.net are the big 3. Pixelscan stamps you consistent or inconsistent. IPQualityScore gives you a trust score and is unforgiving on IP and time zone mismatches. BrowserScan rolls everything into one dashboard. Smaller names in the same category, WhoER.net, IPQualityScore, IPinfo. Type 2, deep and uniqueness checkers. Hard mode. CreepJS actively tries to catch you lying. Claim one device while your hardware says another, and it flags the spoof and tanks your score. AmIUnique tells you how rare and therefore how trackable you are. Also in this category, Sannysoft, FingerprintJS, BotD, which lean harder into bot and automation detection. Type 3, per-vector and privacy checkers. Browserleaks isolates one signal at a time. your diagnostic tool once you know something's off but not exactly sure what. The EFFs cover your tracks, tells you plainly whether you're protected. Also worth knowing, Panopticlick, IPleak.net and DeviceInfo. That's the landscape. Screenshot it if it's useful or come back to it in a bit. Now when checking your own browser, use at least 2 different checkers. They run different scripts and mechanics, so one alone isn't the full picture. 5 principles that pass any checker. Now forget individual settings, there are 5 principles underneath all of this. 1. Consistency over concealment. Every signal has to tell the same story. OS, user agent, fonts, canvas, language, all agreeing. This is exactly why blocking fingerprinting outright, the way Mullvad browser or Brave doesn't solve the problem. Blocking isn't the same as being consistent. 2. Realism over emptiness. Average looking values, not nulls or noise. Blend in, don't disappear. 3. A matching network layer. Your IP's location has to match your time zone and language, with no WebRTC or DNS leak underneath it. A clean proxy that matches the profile beats an expensive one that doesn't. 4. Hardware realism. Canvas and WebGL output should look like a real device's graphics, not random noise. Tools like CreepJS exist specifically to catch randomized spoofed values. 5. Stability. A believable profile doesn't shift mid-session. Sudden changes read as automation. That's it. Master those 5 and every checker becomes readable. Miss 1 and the strongest 4 won't save you. The 5 common browsers that all fail. So, which browser should you actually use? Well, this is where it gets genuinely counterintuitive. 5 browsers people reach for when they care about fingerprinting, and almost all of them are built to block it. Tor browser, Brave, Firefox with resist fingerprinting turned on, LibreWolf, and Mullvad browser. Here's the twist. These are excellent for privacy. They will often fail a fingerprint checker anyway. You already know why. Principles 1 and 2. Tor makes everyone look identical. Brave randomizes your fingerprint every session. Firefox, LibreWolf and Mullvad browser spoof your values to a generic profile. To a human, that reads as private. To a checker hunting for consistency, a blanked out or randomized fingerprint doesn't look clean. It looks like someone's hiding something. The harder a browser tries to hide you, the more you can stand out to these tools. Untrackable and pass as a checker are not the same goal. If what you need is a clean, consistent, believable fingerprint, that's a different category of tool. The business case. Separate profiles done right. That category is anti-detect browsers, and it's more mainstream than people assume. Marketing and social media agencies manage accounts for dozens of clients across different countries. Each client's account has to run from a clean, separate environment, so one session never bleeds into another. From a single normal browser, that's impossible. Everything shares one fingerprint. Several tools exist in this space. GoLogin, Multi-Login, and Dolphin Anti among them. For this demo, I'm using GoLogin. Now, GoLogin creates fully isolated browser profiles, each with its own consistent, realistic fingerprint and its own proxy. So each profile behaves like a genuinely separate, believable device. Let me show you what separate but real actually looks like. GoLogin demo. Alright, I've got 2 profiles set up. Profile A, US residential proxy, US time zone, US IP. Profile B, different country, UK proxy matching time zone. 2 separate identities. Now profile A, running Pixelscan and IPHey, comes back as consistent. Every signal agrees. IP matches time zone, language fits, canvas and WebGL look like a real machine. Nothing blanked out. It looks like a person because it's consistent. Profile B, same computer, same time, also passes, but a completely different fingerprint from the same laptop. Different canvas signature, different time zone, different everything. Neither profile knows the other exists. Now this is mainly used by marketing agencies and people building automated browsing setups. It's exactly how an agency runs 20 browsers from one office without any of them interfering with each other. So, a quick recap. Checkers read 5 signals. They flag you for inconsistency, not for being visible. The fix is consistency and realism, not emptiness or noise. And the same principles that harden your privacy are what make a genuinely separate profile believable. Now drop a comment with which browser you're using. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.